All right, everyone. Thank you very much for your patience and waiting. As a courtesy, we wanted just to allow some people in their busy day, it's 5 minutes to join us. On behalf of Larry Van Zandt from Sandler Training and myself, I wanted to thank you for joining us. Before we get going, this is the first time Larry and I have co-hosted a webinar, so I wanted to just let you know that you do not have to take notes unless you want to. This webinar is being recorded and we are going to make it available to you afterwards so that you can concentrate on some of the topics that we're discussing. We're going to attempt to get finished between 11:45 and noon so that you can go about your day. Depending on the pacing, we invite you to use the chat feature if you have questions. Depending on how long things go, if we can't answer your questions during the webinar, we will do so after it has been completed. Because we're co-hosting, there are some of you that know Larry and don't know me and vice versa. So I thought we'd start with just a brief introduction from each of us. I'm Michael Rosenfeld. I'm the managing partner and founder of Web Connection. We are fortunate to be celebrating our 25th year in business, and we are an outsourced chief digital officer firm. We work with companies who recognize a need to be a player in the digital space, whether it's their website, apps, online marketing, social media, but don't have a digital leader to create the strategy and then make sure the strategy is implemented properly. So that's what we do, and I'd like to give Larry a chance to just give an overview of his company.
Larry Van Sant with Sandler Training. Sandler is the largest training company throughout the United States and Europe. We have over 250 offices. We basically work with clients to do professional development. That's really and truly what we do. That could be anything from working with salespeople to help them improve closing ratios, right on down the line to training managers on better leadership skills. So I've got over 30 years experience in the business industry, and we utilize that all the time as we're working with you and your teams. So welcome today.
Perfect. So what we're going to do is I'm going to lead and basically just to give a background, after the virus hit, most of us or many of us stopped doing in-person meetings. And Larry and I separately were participating in Zoom or online networking. We had not met each other up until, I'm guessing, maybe April. We kept running into each other virtually, and we realized that there are synergies between both of our businesses. And we came up with this presentation of generating digital marketing leads. But once you get these leads, what do you do with them? And that's where Larry and his organization comes in. So I'm gonna start us off, and then we're going to transition over to Larry. For those of you, and there's a couple I see that have seen or participated in one of my webinars before. So there's a couple of these slides that may be familiar to you. This one in particular, the animation that you see, if you're not familiar with this person, is the magician who teaches all the tricks. He's hated amongst his peers because he's breaking the cardinal rule of magicians. But he demystifies what is behind magic. I look at myself similarly. A lot of people are intimidated by digital strategies and online marketing. So my goal for everyone participating today is to demystify this and put you in a position that you're more comfortable than when you started. Because of the timing and because we want to get you out of here within 45 minutes to an hour, I want to basically manage expectations. My goal for my portion is to teach you things that you did not know, and go over at a high level what your opportunities are from a digital marketing perspective. But we don't have the time to dive into each of these strategies. But those of you who have participated, and I'm happy to see people have come back again, you'll know that I'm going to have a follow-up webinars on some of these topics to dive into them a little bit deeper. But what is important to recognize is, as it relates to digital marketing, there's three main types: paid media, earned media, and owned media. And these are, frankly, these go beyond just digital marketing. Traditional advertising and marketing has these same three, but we're going to just focus in on the digital aspects of each of these. So we're going to start with owned media, and this is pretty straightforward. If you create or obtain the rights to a digital asset, content, graphics, video, it is considered owned media. Some examples of this, and owned media is pretty much from the clients that I work with, most of them have at least a slight inventory of owned media. That would be your website, your apps, your internally created email list, images, press releases, your blog posts, and items that you post on social media accounts. So traditionally, as I said, most of my clients have some form of these or another. Now, it's not good enough to just have these. You have to have a strategy and do them correctly. If you have a great social media presence driving people to a crappy website, you're going to get crappy results, right? So all of these elements need to be clicking on all cylinders. And in addition to that, it's important to say owned media isn't necessarily free. I mean, you have to buy and build a website. You have to hire someone to do images and graphics. So just because it's owned doesn't mean it's free. The next type of media is paid media. Paid media is exactly what it sounds like. It's opportunities that you have to market, but you have to pay to do that. The most common examples are that people are familiar with are banner ads on websites, sponsored tweets, boosted Facebook posts. LinkedIn has their own online pay-per-click advertising. So these are third-party platforms in which you can invest in to market your company outside of the area of influence that you already have. So that's paid media, and many of my clients that come to me dabble in this. Most don't do a really good job of it, but this is an important aspect. What I wanted to do is, after we're done, I'm going to send you this presentation, and behind each of these are URLs that are directly to each of these platforms that will teach you how to promote your post across those social platforms. So once again, because we don't have time to get into these specifically during this webinar, we will on future webinars. I wanted to leave you with a resource that you can, if you're so inclined, to educate yourself. All right, the handful of you that have been on my last webinar will see these next series of slides, but I wanted to leave you with something tangible that you can do today if you choose to. This is what's called remarketing. Remarketing we've all seen before. In this example, let's just say you were interested in a Ford F-150. You did a search for Ford F-150, you went to the Ford website perhaps, and then you go along your travels on the internet, and lo and behold, you see these banners following you wherever you go. That is not by accident. That is through Google's remarketing. And I'm going to show you how you can do that. Remember, this is being recorded, so you do not have to take any notes. You'll get this recording and you can go step by step and hit pause. In order to do this, you need to have a Google Analytics account. And when you go to Google Analytics, the first thing you're going to want to do is in the left-hand margin, click on the gear icon, which is surrounded in that red rectangle. And then you want to click on Audience Definitions. After you click on Audience Definitions, you're going to hit enable remarketing and hit next step. After you do that, you're going to click down here and you're going to check off your Google Analytics account, and then you're going to hit enable. When you do that, you're going to have added your first audience. This audience, the first one that you do by default, is anyone who's visited your website. So it doesn't matter what page they went to, but anyone who's been to your website will be cookied by Google. Google will put them on a list, and these people can be targeted afterwards. But it allows you to be a lot more targeted. So if you click, and just what I did, I clicked on the, there's a next, it show your dashboard, which is what this is. And it takes you to this dashboard screen where you see all your users have been entered. If you want to create a new audience, you click on new audience, and then it takes you to this screen. You can do new users, returning users. I love to be able to basically say anyone who's visited a certain page within my website. So let's use Larry as an example. Let's say on Larry's website, he has a page specifically talking about sales tactics and tips. And he wants to know all the people that went to the sales tactics and tips page specifically, forgetting about going to all the pages on the website. He wants to know that specific one. He would then be in a position to create banners that targets people who have already seen his sales tips, which is more targeted than just doing a generic one that says, hey, I'm Larry from Sandler Training, right? So, and you can do that page by page. So what you'd want to do is you want to click on users who visited a specific section of your website. And when you do that, it's going to launch this. The first thing you're going to want to do is you're going to want to change this 30 days to, so 30 days basically means the people who've been to your website will stay on your list for just 30 days. I like to change this to at least 60, maybe 90 days to extend the amount of time that we can remarket to them. So my first tip would be get rid of 30 and put 60 or 90 in there. The second thing you want to do is put the name of this audience. In the example I'm doing, I'm putting history. In the example I said for Larry, he would have put in visitors to my tips page. The last thing you want to do in this screen is click on the pencil here. And when you do that, it's going to open up this box right here. The first thing you want to do is, number one, you want to put the URL. So you have to go to your website. And in the example I'm giving, the person's history page is www.theirdomain.com/history. So the first thing we want to do is put /history in there because that's the specific page. The next thing we want to do is click down on this drop-down box and say contains. So we're telling Google that any page that contains /history is what we want to cookie, and then we want to hit apply. Once you hit apply, you're going to go down to here where you're going to click on add destinations. When you do that, it's going to open up this box. This is going to be your analytics account. You're going to click a checkbox, and then you're going to hit publish. Now listen, I know I just did a mouthful right there, right? But this is key, and I promise you, you're going to be able to follow along when you have this video. But you should do this for every single page within your website. Using my company as an example, there are 6 specific service type offerings we have. I have this set up for each of those 6 offerings. I cookie every visitor who comes there, and then I create 6 unique sets of banners specific to that offering, so that when that user 30, 45 days later goes to a website, they're going to see a banner specific to a page they visited in my website. So I hope you appreciate this tip. A lot of people see these banners but don't know how it works. Now you are empowered to know how to do that. So we've done the first 2 types of media, owned. Now we're going to talk about earned media. Earned media is free publicity. It's a result of the public and the press sharing, liking, and forwarding your own content. The easiest example are customer review websites that you see around, the Angie's List, Google has them, Yelp has them, and savvy business owners ask people, would you please give me a review, so that they can ramp up their reviews. Social media mentions by third parties is earned media. SEO rankings could be under earned media, and by that I mean you're getting SEO by your own website, but third parties who mention you and link to your website is earned media as well. So these are the three types of media, and my goal today was to teach you what is available to you in the tool chest. There are a lot of items that I'm sure most of you participating may have known about, but have no idea how to implement. But my goal was to provide you some overview and insight. None of this matters if you're not measuring it. So don't be a pretender, and do some of these tactics if you're not willing to use analytics to measure how successful it is. So Google Analytics is a free tool. It's very powerful. Most people don't use it nearly as much as they could, but we strongly urge our clients to use a tool like Google Analytics. And this next screenshot is a heat mapping tool, which actually shows you visually where people are clicking, where people are scrolling. So with Google Analytics and a tool like this, you can actually measure how many people are coming in from Yelp, how many people are coming in from SEO initiatives, how many people are coming in because of your blog. So all of this works hand in hand. Once again, I want to reiterate that I know, because we're already at the 11:23, I know that I kind of did an overview of each of these types of marketing. Those of you who want to learn more, it's coming. So each of you will be informed of when we do a specific paid media, a separate earned media, and lastly, an owned media webinar, so that I can dive into each of those items in more detail. So with that said, I'm going to transition over to Larry, because really what we've just done is we have, and Larry, you can begin to share your screen. We have set up, okay, so we've used digital strategies to fill the funnel. Now what do we do? So with that, Larry, I'm going to let you take it away.
Okay, thank you, Mike. So once you get the leads, what do you do with them? How many times do you reach out? Sometimes people will get these leads and opportunities that come in, and they can't get a hold of people. They find that the difficulty of getting them, and they wonder why. Why'd you even click on our website? So one of the things that we are looking at is, why do people do business with you? What is it that they're trying to resolve? If we look, most people begin selling the moment they talk to a lead. If you get them on the phone, they begin selling. But what we recommend is that you find what we call pain, and it's a compelling emotional reason to do something different. And pain is nothing more than, this is where I am today. This is where I'd like to be. So if they're getting ready to go on a hiking trip and they're looking for a nice set of boots, the boots they have are wore out, there's the gap. The gap is they need boots, basically. They have an old pair, it doesn't work, they need it. This goes from anything that is out there today, that when people are looking at products, it's basically to move from where they currently are to where they want to go. Same thing with cars, same way with clothes, same thing with software, with computers. There's a reason. The problem is that we start selling features and benefits and we really don't go into the reasons. So most of the time when they're clicking on your website, or clicking on, and we have banners following, and then they click on that again, they're aware that there's something that they want. They're aware that there's an action that they would like to take. And do we have the solution? And one of the things is that when you are available, when you are talking to the client or prospect at this point, there's questions you can ask if you follow up. Why are they looking for something, and how is it impacting them? They may say, I'm looking for this pair of boots because I'm going on a trip in 30 days. Or they may say, my shoes are just killing me and I can't. So we confirm the reasons why they are making this move, why they want to buy something, what their actual pain is. And pain, basically, people buy emotionally, they make decisions intellectually. So helping them realize that it's an impact. For example, maybe their computer is down, they need a new computer, they go on the website to find something, or they're in the air, they have an airplane, they're looking for insurance, they can't get it anywhere, or they just bought it. The impact is what happens if they don't get it now? What is the impact on them? Why would we want to, why would they want to move forward? Or are they just tire kickers? So those are the impact questions. Confirmation is that, it's what happens if you do nothing. So we suggest you review pains, identify what the cost is, which is the impact, and get validation from the prospect that you have a complete understanding of the issues that they're facing. And we ask you to get those confirmations verbally. We really and truly want them talking most of the time, because they remember about 80% of what they say versus us remembering about 20% of what someone else says. So we also have an issue. Does the prospect have money? If there's no money, there's no sale. So what does price and terms play as far as the buying decision? Are they looking for 6 months? Are they paying for cash? Do they have enough money? Suppose they don't. Are there any budgets that they've set up? Are they, suppose they want to go beyond that budget? But just remember, no money, there's no sale. No pain, there's no sale. We can go in and do features and benefits all the time, but if they don't have these two items, there won't be a sale. Then we look at this, and I think this is so important for you about getting these leads and hits on the website. So it comes down to the decision. And these questions, when are you planning to make the decision? I mean, if they're looking at a year down the road, probably not an immediate issue, and it doesn't have a big impact. Where is it going to be made? I mean, is it made locally, or is it another branch of a company? How did you make your decision in the past? How has it been done in the past? And how do you make the decisions? Is it by committee? Is it your wife decides, your husband decides, your family decides on, it may be a vacation, but how do you make that decision? How's it been done in the past is a great example of what will happen in the future. Why is it done this way? That's a question that I really don't ask a whole lot. I ask a lot of why questions, but not why is it done. But here's a key question for you. So many times when people are out looking on the web and they're trying to identify information, they're getting that information for other people. So who in the organization makes the decision? And how do you get that information to them? And what are they looking for? What particular items are they looking for? See, the problem many times is that we're talking to people that don't have any decision-making authority. They're just the research. So we need to know who makes those decisions, how they're made, what information they need to have, because now we have to educate our client in order for them to be able to provide the information that they're looking for. And then we look at the outcomes of the decision step. The prospect is disqualified, and most of us hate that. Somebody has actually clicked on, we've got a lead, and then we say they're disqualified. Well, if they have no money, they have no pain or reason to buy, they're just considering it. uh, or they're tire kickers. You know, do we want to spend our time? Do we want to spend our time with people that are disqualified? I mean, time is the most precious thing that you have. It's the most precious thing. We all would like to have more time during the day. Spending it with a client that's you're not going to be paid for dealing with, it is not a really good way of spending your time. It's not efficient. So you may discover during your decision or during the qualification process is that other people who you are talking with are involved, or who you have not talked with are involved in the decision. So we need to be able to figure out how to get to those people. You know, do we meet with the committee? Do we have to meet with someone else? How do we get that meeting? And then we find out that the prospect is qualified and we can move on with our selling process. The bottom line here is that instead of assuming that every prospect that or lead that you get is a prospect, assume that they're a suspect and qualify them, that they're worth your time, your effort, and that there is a genuine reason for them to want to do business with you. Is there a genuine reason there? You know, if you're not a price-oriented company, let's say that you sell on value and you're not going to be the cheapest guy around. If their decision-making process is strictly price, you're probably going to be spending a lot of time that's wasted. If the prospect is qualified, we always do what we call as an upfront contract. And it's nothing more than saying, hey, John, Mary, look, I understand that you've got this issue. We've got a budget for it. If we can't get a budget, if we don't know how much money is involved, we typically will bracket and find out if it's close. And if it is close, then we're going to go ahead and do this upfront contract and include that number in there. So we have a range of somewhere between $200 and $500. So if I can show you a solution that falls within your budget, what's the next steps? You see, we always should ask what happens next if we can solve the problem within their budget and determine, you know, and they're qualified to do business. We should always ask, what should we do next? What happens if I can provide you all these things? Are you going to, you know, move forward with or are you going to tell me I want to wait 6 months? What happens next? You're entitled to that information. And as Michael has said, we're going through a lot of detail, a lot of information in a short period of time. But this is just for you to think about how you play your role in sales. Do you dump all the information in the beginning so that they can use it against you, or do you gather and qualify the client? So, you know, basically that's it for me. Michael, I'm going to stop sharing. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out.
I'm going to ask, and you and I didn't discuss doing this, but I think it would be relevant.
Sure.
So one of the reasons why you and I gravitated towards each other to co-host this webinar was the times we're in. It's uncertain, and there are certain businesses that are not going to make it. There are certain businesses that are going to bury their heads in the sand. And there are other businesses who know if they bury their heads in the sand, they may be one of like the first one, which is out of business. And they have to do something. They have to be relevant. So it's I would think more important than ever right now for people to fill the funnel and hustle, because no one knows what's going to happen over the next several months and maybe year or years. So what I thought maybe, if it's okay with you, is if we play a scenario of how someone goes through what I do to a lead form that gets to you, and how you would handle that first conversation just to role play. Are you willing to do that?
Absolutely.
Okay, we'll see how this goes. Hopefully it
See
doesn't
how it goes. We haven't practiced it,
yeah.
so.
Hopefully it doesn't backfire on us. So I know by looking at some of the participants here that many of them are regulars on social media, and we see them. And Larry, I see you all the time and very active. So let's just assume in this scenario that someone finally realizes, because a lot of what we do on my side is repetition and exposure. You're relevant, you're here, but people don't need you right away. There's an event that happens where, like, you know what, now I have to reach out. So I decide I'm going to reach out, and 80+% of people go to the website first before calling you. That's just the way human behavior has become with the internet. So I check you out, I go on your website, and I'm willing to give you the holy grail, which is submit my information via a form. You don't know who's filling out the form. You don't know if I'm the right person. So let's just assume you come in, it's 9 a.m., you check your email, you got a lead form, and now you're going to pick it up and try to figure out how to manage that call. Let's do it.
So the first thing I would do is I typically have something to written down, because sometimes I just want to make sure that I have a script in front of me. Not that I use it, but just that I have it there just in case there's a distraction. I mean, I've had so many distractions, and today with the kids at home, things of this nature, you can easily be distracted. So, but I pick up the phone and I would call and say, "Hey, Michael, it's Larry Van Sant with Sandler Training. Is this a bad time?"
So fine time. I appreciate you reaching out to me.
So you filled out a form today, and I was just wondering what you're hoping to accomplish. What are you particularly looking for?
Well, I can tell you that we are in a need to grow. It's not satisfactory for us to sit tight. Um, the committee in which I'm a part of tasked me to do some research. Your name came up by a couple on our committee, and I just wanted to reach out to learn more about you and what you do.
Okay, well, great. Well, I appreciate that. You know, what I want to make sure to do is that we cover everything that you're looking for. And, you know, this is probably going to take initially maybe 15 minutes for our first call. We can decide whether we're going to move forward or not after that. If we're a good match, great. If we're not, that's okay. And I just want you to be comfortable saying that.
I appreciate your candor. I can tell you that I'm not in a position to make a decision during this 15 minutes. So how do we handle this?
Well, I guess my question is who will be making the decision, and should we include them in our next conversation?
I mean, we should. I'm tasked to bring back some information to them. Uh, is there any general overview you can give me, and then we can schedule a follow up?
Certainly. So tell me, when you're tasked with getting certain information, could you tell me what that looks like?
Well, like I said, I know we want to grow. I know we've been unable to do it internally. I know we need to hire a third party to help us fine tune our team. We're a small group. We have 5 people who do sales. We try to coach them up internally, but we may not be doing it properly. We just think we need someone from the outside looking in.
Okay. How long have you been considering this?
Uh, Probably for years, but never pulled the trigger, to be honest with you.
Can I ask why?
Uh, if I were to be totally frank, I would say that the events of the day have got us concerned and was the stimulus that made us get off of our tails and do something.
So what are you hoping to increase your sales by?
I would say in today's environment, if we were able to grow, that would be a victory,
Okay.
but 10, 20%, I think would be uh, uh, beyond our expectations, but something we would strive for.
So what's that look like in dollars? 10 to
Um, let's just say $2 million.
Wow. Is that a lot of money to you? It certainly is to me.
It is a lot of money to me.
All right. So we're looking at growing somewhere in the neighborhood of $2 million, and which would be 10 to 20% somewhere in that neighborhood. So what have you tried in the past?
Just internally, just trying to incentivize and figure it out on our own. Really, we've never gone outside to get some help.
So you've got $2 million. What happens if we don't grow? What happens to the organization, to you, if we don't in
I
this
would
environment?
say if we take away some tangible items that we can leverage moving forward in an environment that isn't as crazy as it is today, and we don't grow at all, but we don't go backwards, I would consider that victory. Remember though, I'm just one person on a committee.
Sure. So what happens if you go backwards?
Uh, I'm I'm guessing that our initiative together probably would not be viewed as being successful.
Okay, but I'm just saying, suppose you don't choose us, it's one of the reasons you decide to do nothing. Does that have a detrimental effect upon you,
Me individually or me as a company?
you individually,
Uh, as
and
being
as a company?
as being part of the committee, I'm sure it would not be looked upon favorably.
So when we look at these, when we're looking at training, typically, companies, and many companies have a budget. Do you have something in a budget in mind that you're looking for?
Because we've never done this before, I have no idea what would be involved. We have no idea.
Okay, so how many people are you looking to train?
Probably the 5 salespeople and probably the additional 5 on my committee.
Okay,
Just
so looking at that, let's just say that we pull a number between 15 and 50,000. I mean, that's a range.
mhm.
Where are you more comfortable in that range? Where do you think the committee would want to be?
Like I said, we had no idea. That number doesn't scare me based upon a goal of $2 million or so additional revenue. Frankly, that number doesn't scare me if we stay put in this environment. But I know I keep saying this, but it's not just me who's making this decision, but this empowers me to have the discussion.
So one of the things that we at Sandler really focus on is what we call our success triangle. We train not only work with people's attitudes to improve them and be positive, but to also have a commitment to do the behavior where we were talking about filling the pipeline. There's certain activities that we have to do. We rarely measure sales by dollars. We measure sales by activities. And we know that if we do certain activities, we're going to get performance. But it takes time, Michael. It takes time. You could be looking at 60, 70, 80 days up to a year to really change behavior. And that's what we're talking here. Most people go to a seminar. When they go to the seminar, they learn everything they can learn in a 2-day period of time. But when you've gone to a seminar in the past, how's that affected you? How much have you retained over a period of 4 weeks?
My experience is I feel a lot of momentum. I go back to work and it's gone.
Absolutely. That's typically what we see. So we have a different approach, and our approach is basically that we do assessments on people so that we can determine whether we're moving forward or not, whether they're a good combination, whether I can help you or not. Okay, because I don't know if I'm in the solution, but that first thing is basically assessing the people. That's one of the things that we do in order to make sure that